Good day to you all, Live for Speed fans, and thank you for tuning in for the third round of the MRC BF1 League. Today from Fern Bay Black, my name is Travis Mehlinger, here with Adam Brown, presenting this to you with the Sim Broadcast team. Adam, I think this is going to be pretty exciting. These cars are fast. We're on Fern Bay Black. It's going to be a challenge for these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be very much a challenge. A very tight, very fast course, but with you make any little mistake, you're going spinning off into the gravel, into the sea maybe, as this is a seaside track.
That it is. We'll remind our viewers a little bit about the league. We are, as we mentioned, drive the BF1 around here. Adam, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about the BF1, and then we can have a look at the track and then at the standings.
Yeah, the BF1, as I've said the last two times, this is one of only the 4 real-life cars in Live for Speed. Of course, modeled after the 2006 BMW Sauber F1 car. 2.4 litre V8 engine that produces 720 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower for the size of the engine there. This car scored 2 podiums in its 2006 season and came 5th in the Constructors' Championship. So it's not the slowest of the F1 cars, but not exactly the fastest either.
No, this car was no slouch. They ultimately developed it to a race win in the 2008 season. This is, as we said, this is the third race of the MRC BF1 season here at Fern Bay Black, the Grand Prix of Jamaica. Fourth round will be coming to you in just a couple weeks' time on January 10th. That'll be the second Grand Prix of Japan at Kyoto National. Let's have a look at the track today. As we said at the top, this is Fern Bay Black. This track has 21 turns. It is Fern Bay Green and Fern Bay Gold combined, so all of the challenges of both circuits bar a few corners. Adam, you've driven around here a few times. I don't know if you've done it in the BF1. All of this track is a challenge, but what in particular do you find most challenging about this circuit?
The chicanes probably. And especially in the faster cars like the BF1, they are lethal. Any little mistake going over them, you're bouncing off into the tires, bouncing off into the wall. You've got to be perfect, inch perfect going through them.
And we should note too that unlike the Kyoto GP circuit, where the community has adopted the Boothie chicane, a little bit of shall we say, extra protection around the fast chicane coming off the oval and back onto the GP circuit. We have no such modifications to the chicanes here today. These are the original chicanes. They're very fast, especially in a car as quick as this one. So I think it'll be challenging for the drivers to negotiate that. Drivers are on the server, still warming up in preparation for qualifying coming up in a few minutes. We can take a look at the driver standings. At the top of the order is Alexi Lamerto. He has been absolutely dominant. Behind him in second place in the standings, we have Sean Lee, 28 points, 23 points, a full race win behind Alexi Lamerto. And third, we have Christian Sanatsky with 24 points, Emre Khan in fourth, Ayub Elanouni in fifth, Ronnie Kronpus in sixth, seventh, Rando Muru, eighth, Wojciech Muka, ninth, Yefan Jakub, and rounding out the top 10, we've got Dravka Toponiak with 6 points, 45 points adrift of Alexi Lamerto. And then in the team standings, Team Citus with 51 points, all on the effort of Alexi Lamerto's talent and excellent driving. In second place in the team standings, we have Air Attack Newsroom Racing, Sean Lee with 28 points. In third, GD Team on 24, Race Green Autosports fourth on 20 points. Fragmaster, who ran an excellent event yesterday with 20 points. Sorry, 18 points, my mistake. In sixth, the host team, Master Race Car with 18 points. Born to Race in seventh. Team Rock Racing of the Team Rock Racing Championship, which you've seen here on Sim Broadcasts, with 2 points. Heroes of Racing in ninth, and with a lone point on Yarkatilla's effort, World Class Lions, 50 points adrift of Team Citus and Alexi Lamerto. Adam, we've got a few interesting stories, a few things that I think we want to note about today's event. First one, we just mentioned him at the top of the driver standings, Alexi Lamerto. He's been absolutely dominant. He was strong at West Hill and then invincible at Kyoto. Give me your thoughts on Alexi, what he needs to do today.
Well, I'm not sure if he'll be doing anything today because he hasn't joined the server yet. It looks like a lot of drivers are absent at the moment. I think the highest placed driver in the championship we've got here today is Sean Lee. So he'll be looking to close that gap to the front. If he can get a pretty calm race with little mistakes, he'll be looking for an easy 25, 26 points.
You are right. He is not in the server. I'm looking at the pre-qualifying results. We'll take a look at those in just a moment. And Alexi Lamerto did set a pre-qualifying time, but yeah, he is not in the server. So we'll see what develops there. Second, Adam, you mentioned Sean Lee. My question to you, to the world, maybe to Sean Lee himself, is can he recover? He was strong in the first event. He struggled in the second event at Kyoto. He needs to find something because it seems like he's the only driver that can challenge Alexi Lamerto.
Well, if he can put a solid race in today and he can beat out Sonochki and possibly Pedro Picanco, I think he can close that gap and take the lead in the championship if he's not too far behind, and that will give him a right confidence boost and he'll be right back up in that fight. So even with the 2 remaining rounds, he'll be in decent contention.
Yep. Well, hopefully we can see some strength out of him today, and hopefully we won't see him just walk away from it because Alexi Lamerto has not joined. He has not yet, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then third, this is a very challenging circuit, as we've said a couple times already. I believe that attrition is going to figure in today much more than it has in the previous 2 rounds. Your thoughts, Adam?
Well, especially around a track like this. I mean, the first round, drivers that aren't necessarily used to the cars, but you know, we still had quite a high attrition rate in the second round, so we could see half the cars on the grid spinning out, coming off. So this is going to be interesting.
All right, thanks for that. Drivers still getting ready in the server. Doing a little bit of warm-up, admin's getting ready, so we'll have a look at the pre-qualifying results. So MRC does run pre-qualifying before every event to permit drivers through to the qualifying sessions, the 2 qualifying sessions that we have before each one of these Grands Prix. The pre-qualifying results today have Alexi Lamerto at the top. Should not be surprising to anyone with a very quick time of a 48.53, half a second clear of Emre Khan. Also through pre-qualifying are Rando Muru, Sean Lee, Christian Sinowski, Josh D'Souza, Yara Katila, Pedro Picanco, Darius Verzinskas, Trespasser, who did well yesterday in the Fragmaster Oval event, Lucas Finko, Akshay, Kevin G, Malcolm Delry, Jeremias Zanella, Yefan Jakob, Ayub Elanuni, all through pre-qualifying. We have 4 drivers who set no time, though. Stravko Toponiak, who has competed in the previous 2 events, Olivier, Wojciech Muka, Ronnie Krompush, all of these guys, except for Olivier, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, have competed in the prior events, should be permitted through on admin's discretion. Not certain about that. We'll find out more when qualifying starts.
Yeah, I think even if they have not set a time, it really depends if they've even shown up to the race.
All right, while we continue to wait for everyone to get ready and get organized in the server, we can have a look at our upcoming events. First one, upcoming event on January 10th, 2021 will be the 4th round of the MRC BF1 League. That will be coming to you from Kyoto National, KY2, the second Grand Prix of Japan. That'll be at 1400 hours UTC, same time as we have started today and the prior MRC BF1 events. And then following that by just a couple hours, maybe 90 minutes, will be round 1 of New Dimension Racing's GT2 Challenge. Again, January 21st, 2021. Sorry, apologies. January 10th, 2021. 1800 hours UTC after the conclusion of the MRC BF1 event. If you want to sign up for that event, you can go look for the New Dimension Racing subforum of the Live for Speed forums, and there is a sign-up thread in there. Please have a look at that. We would welcome your participation. The NDR team would love to have you.
Well, we do have the quality group graphic up on screen now, but it looks like I've just received word from the stewards that instead of running 2 different groups, they're running one 20-minute session for all the drivers, as there aren't enough drivers for 2 sessions.
Interesting. We'll improvise then, and we'll go down both qualifying lists. So what you see there on Group 1 is taking part of this one large group that they're running and qualifying today, as Adam mentioned. That will be Yara Katila, Malcolm Delvery, Evan G, Akshay, Pedro Picanco, Darius Verzinskas, Jeremias Zanella, Ronnie Krompush, Josh D'Souza. We'll have a quick look to see which of those drivers are actually in the server. Apologies for that. A little bit disorganized here with the sudden change to one session. So we'll run down the drivers that we have in the session today. We have Redbot, Rando, Lucas Finko, Pedro Picanco, Christian Sinowski, Etienne, Sean Lee, and Roni. Notably, we do not have Alexi Lamerto, Adam.
Yeah, we do not. I'm wondering if he's just so confident in his performances that he's messing around, or if he's just fancies a break. I'm not sure, but it's definitely an interesting one, that.
It is, and it's not uncommon in events like these. We are all amateurs doing this for fun. Some of us much better than others. Alexi Lamerto among them, obviously. It's not uncommon for drivers to miss a round, but I don't know that we expected him to miss this round. However, he's been dominant. I think his position is safe. Sean Lee needs to be absolutely perfect if he wants to take advantage of Alexi Lamerto's absence today.
Yep. So, might as well take you guys through a lap. Rando coming out into the first corner, tight hairpin, second gear. This first chicane should be borderline flat out, and then this whole downhill section, sweeping section, beautiful in any car really. Should be flat out, down onto the bridge. On the gold layout you would turn left here, but on the black layout we're turning right. This tight, almost hairpin, but opens back out onto the Fern Bay green home straight. This chicane is an absolute killer. Rando's flat out through there into turn 8, which is a nice little 1-2-3 chicane. Like flat out, missing the curbs, down into turn 11, which is another really fast, borderline flat out corner, down towards turn 13. You're trying to nail this inside curb here and get on the power as much as possible through that right-left section. Back onto the the gold layout now. This little double left-hander as he's clipped the grass. He manages to save it. He continues on the lap as he goes under the bridge into turn 18, going turn 19, which is a nice 180-degree left-hander, and onto the home straight through this nice chicane, carry the curbs, and that's a lap.
Thank you for taking us through a lap. It's an exciting lap. We've got a couple more cars on track now, going to be coming through to finish their timed laps. Coming across the line just now, out of the final chicane and across the line now, we have Pedro Picanco. He gets a yellow flag as he crosses the line. Looks like Rando had slowed down, or was coming out of the pits, and that was the cause of that yellow flag. Pedro Picanco does a lap in the 50s. Currently good for pole position, about a second and a half clear of Rando, who took P2. Lucas Finko across the line just a few moments ago with a 53.81.
Yeah, this lap is, we've already seen a couple drivers make mistakes on their laps. Rando definitely had another 2 seconds in that, but because he ran wide, he lost that time. So this is looking like it could be a close race, because Roney's just slotted in the middle of those two.
Yeah, I expected Roney to go a bit quicker. No discredit to Pedro Picanco's pace, but I think we're used to seeing Roney Campos go quite a bit faster. Off the ultimate pace today, but he's got plenty of time to improve.
Yeah, I guess Roney always comes good in the race though, so it's good. If he can set a good quali lap, that's just further safety net.
Still no sign of Sean Lee on track, but Christian Sanoski, another one of the quicker drivers who is further up the standings, coming around the back of the circuit now to round out the lap. Just now turning into turn 15, coming through 16 and 17 now. We'll go under the bridge and through the final few corners. And he aborts this lap. Not sure what happened there. If this is an out lap and he's warming his tires and cooling them off. Yeah, he was on a pretty good pace through that out lap, so it looked like it was going to be a flyer, but then he backed it off coming into the final corners. Now revs it up, full blast through the final corners and across the line to start a flying lap.
I expect this to be a fast one, as Sanochki's been, up there the whole season. Bit of an interesting line through turn 1, but these cars are interesting, so we'll be seeing some weird ones.
It sounded like he was pretty hard into the traction control. Looked like the rear of the car stepped out a little bit, and he didn't use quite the entirety of the road available to him as he puts a wheel off in the dirt coming around that corner.
Of course, on these cars more than any, if you get your tires dirty, you've got that to worry about in the next braking zone, potential lockups and all that. But it's a good split time, so he hasn't lost much time. As he's flat out through the chicane, and this track's so fast it's hard to keep up with.
So we talked about attrition and the challenge of this circuit at the start of the broadcast, and he demonstrated it for us there. In the first chicane, he clipped some of the tires. He just threaded them coming through the second chicane at full throttle. I think the tires in the chicanes will be as much a casualty as perhaps the drivers will be at them.
Yeah, the traction control is really getting worked all the way through this final sector. It's quite crazy. pretty inch perfect though. Using all the track.
He used a lot of curb on the inside of turn 18, which might slow him down a little bit, but this lap otherwise looks pretty tidy. He goes over the curb for the left-hander. The final chicane comes across the line to set a 50.09, not good enough for pole position because just before he came across the line, Rando was able to dip into the 49s, a 49.74. As Christian Snotsky crosses the line just behind him, Lucas Finko sets a time of 1:53.81. We got 6 cars qualified with about 11 and a half minutes remaining. Still have not seen a lap from Sean Lee. We'll have to look around for him.
Sean Lee's just come out the pits for the first time on his out lap. He's interestingly on R2s, so he'll be taking it really easy on this out lap.
Takes the very conservative line through the chicane on his out lap. Don't want to spoil it by accidentally going through the tires when he's got to take care of these R2s.
Yeah, one thing we haven't really talked about is tires. Tire choice is going to be very interesting here, I think, because R4s, they'll last and they won't really overheat, but you know, they won't overheat, but you've got to worry about them being too cold, whereas R3s might overheat because you've got so many corners.
Can the drivers work R4s hard enough to keep the temperature in them? Because there are the very fast, full throttle sweeping portions of the track where the car is making full downforce and putting a lot of energy into the tires. But then a lot of these long straights and slow corners where the tires don't keep their heat. Can they use the fast parts of the circuit to make R4s work, or is it not going to be as good as driving delicately on R3s?
I mean, I think really R3s should be the choice around here, but you know, if a driver can make the R4s work by, yes, as you say, working the tires where they can be worked, you know, it might be a shout, you know. As Sean Lee starts his lap. Pretty good first sector there. First corner was perfect, and so was the chicane as he runs flat out through this flowing section in 3, 4, and 5. Perfect on the brakes. Little bit of a lockup, but nothing wrong with that.
Adam's he using traction control? Or maybe I can hear the traction control noise now, but it sounded like he had a lot of slip coming out of the corner onto the straight there. Maybe he's using less traction control gain than others might to try to get the power down himself.
He could just be being a bit more careful on the throttle, although he is on a mouse, so that being careful on the throttle is hard. So yeah, he might be using less traction control. That is an option that you can change on the setup, but normally it's kept pretty high just so the drivers have a nice bit of safety there. Sean Lee's second split wasn't so fast there. He made a little couple mistakes through the middle sector, but if he keeps it clean, he'll have a decent lap in here, maybe slot in 5th. He runs very wide going into turn 18 though, so
yeah,
he's
he
really
mighty.
working these tires.
He is. He looked mighty quick. I'm sorry, Adam, go ahead.
I expect to see him coming out on R3s next, just so he gets a more representative time in. Although that is a pretty decent lap. Beats Roney's.
Yeah, pretty far off pace from Rando. I don't know that we expected to see Rando's by no means slow, but I don't know that we expected to see him at the top above Christian Snotsky. Sean Lee 4th. I think he will want to be pretty close to the top, but he is not there yet. We do have a couple drivers. Oh, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
Interesting. Red Bot's normally on the pace, but you know he's a few seconds behind. He's in last. He's, what is that? around 5 seconds slower than Rando's lap time, which is quite surprising to me.
Yeah, and we've not followed him around very closely. I don't know if he just hasn't been able to get a clean lap yet. I know we've seen him on the track and around, so maybe he's made a few mistakes and just tried to get a time in to salvage a lap and make sure he has a time on the board. Looks like he was jockeying for position with another car on what looks like an outlap. Definitely an outlap now. He's slow through these corners. So we'll see him come around, hopefully improve his time. While the action on the track is happening, we did have a couple more drivers join the server. Zanella, the Argentine, is now in, and I'm pretty sure I saw another driver join a few minutes ago. So we'll have we'll take a look at the order and the drivers we have in the server in just a moment, and reset that for everyone.
Yeah, we had this is Zanella is Hera Loco, you might recognize him as. He was at Crashmas yesterday, causing all the trouble. All the trouble in the world. So hopefully he's got the crashes out of his system and he's nice and clean today.
I hope that as well.
Of course, we've got Roni in the server, who is the organizer of Crashmas, a wonderful event. So thanks to him for that. So yeah, we're just going on board now with Rando for another flying lap of his. He's already got the pole time, but this will be to consolidate it. Nice and smooth on the brakes and on the downshifts into T1. Smooth is always fast in an F1 car. Keeps the throttle pinned all the way down here. Yep, perfect. Because of the nature of this track, drivers will be running quite a lot more downforce than they have been on, say, Kyoto or at West Hills, so they will be able to go faster through those tight sections. A nice split time there, 38.3. Faster than anyone else, I think. Just scraping the curbs, that's perfect. As he avoids the massive mound of a curb on the inside there. Braking here is tricky because you've got to get it turned in at the right point. He nails that, not going too far over the curb. Getting the power on here is also very tricky because you're turning all the time, you've got the traction control working. Perfect on the power around there, going into this last sequence. Bit of a slide and he's almost round. He's just kept it, but this won't be an improvement. Yeah, I believe he was trying R2s there and it just didn't work for him. But yep, that pole time still looks unbeaten.
Yeah, it fails to improve. I think you're right. He was on R2s. I had a look at the tires, and the rears were red hot coming out of the last few corners. Notably, we've had... Adam, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt. It is very interesting that AOR Nova has gone back out on R2s, and he's set a better lap this time, but he's struggling again in that final sector.
It seems like the R2s are good to get around to the back of the track, but not quite enough to get through the last few corners without being really delicate.
So yeah, a couple new drivers have joined us. Verzinskas and I believe that's FM's number who was in the chat earlier. I think so is Verzinskas.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got a few more drivers to make up the grid here, which is nice.
Yeah, this would be interesting for the championship implications too, because Darius Vasinskis, trespasser, we know to be awfully quick, not too far up the drivers' championship standings, but he could probably shake it up a little bit if he has a good result today. And then Number, obviously pretty quick. He may he could have some impact on the championship implications as well. Sean Lee with more competitive drivers finally joining the server, he needs the pressure is on him to take full advantage of the absence of Alexei Lamerto today.
Yeah, Brzezinski is normally much faster in the road tire cars instead of the slick tire cars, but you know, he can go fast in any car, so it'll be interesting to see how far up the standings he is. Yeah, he's really given it laldy, as I use the little Scottish term there again, on the outlap just to get some heat in those tires.
Remind us what laldy means, Adam.
I guess, I don't know, going ham, giving it
like
some proper aggression.
Yeah, I think he put a little too much ham on it. Perhaps spread some ham loaf on the tires, because he ended up bailing out of that lap, and he's not going to set a time now. Following Peter Pakenko now, coming around the coming around the back of the circuit. Through the right-hander, a little bit wide there, nearly touches the grass, managed to keep it out. He's got a lift through this turn. I think the quickest drivers will be almost full throttle through both of these corners. He has a lift to get the car through. Onto the curb to turn in, just clips the grass on the way in. And that compromised his line through the corner. He goes wide over the grass. This lap will be no good.
That's a big shame, because he was on R2s around that lap, but his tyres looked in pretty good nick for that final sector, so it would have been interesting to see what a good R2 time would have been.
Even with that mistake, still manages to just miss out on the 51-second barrier. So I think he did miss out on a mighty lap with that one misstep.
I think we've got Sean Lee still on a lap here, setting a nice split one time. Oh, giving it a beautiful slide into turn 8, I believe.
Got several drivers out on laps as well. Christian Stanowski and Number notably out on laps. Number's split didn't look terribly quick, but the lap does appear to be pretty tidy. I think he's probably just trying to set a decent time.
Sean Lee's, he's pretty inch perfect through that section. Got a nice split time, and his tyres are in decent enough neck at the moment. Looks like the tyres are finally coming to the drivers at the end of this session, getting used to them. Strokes that curb perfect, keeping it reasonably tight around there, on the power early enough. This is going to be a good lap. And he slots into second. That's a big improvement from fourth.
Yeah, he'll be pretty happy with that, starting on the front row of the grid. There's a bit of chatter with the admins in the background while drivers are finishing their laps. Jeremias Zanella concerned he wouldn't be able to start because he had beached his car in the sand and is unable to set a time. He'll be permitted to start the race.
New time on the board, FM's Number. You just joined the server about 5 minutes ago, so a 1:54 is pretty respectable for a first lap.
Christian Stanowski also just crossed the line, but looks like he's just doing a bit of cheeky practice before they finally close the session, unable to set another time. So I think that will do it for qualifying. At the top of the order, we have Rando, the only driver to dip into the 48s. Even in pre-qualifying, only one other driver had dipped into the 48s, and that was Alexei Lamerto, who was notably absent today, not racing. His closest competitor, Sean Lee, starts in second position on a minute 49.38. In third position, we will have Christian Szymanski. Fourth, Pedro Picanco with a 50.11, first driver to miss the 49s. Ronnie Kronpus in fifth. Had kind of a rough start to qualifying and then managed to improve for a good starting position. Redbot in sixth, normally a fair bit quicker, struggling today in the 52s. ATN with the 52.90, Lucas Finko in a 53.18. And at the bottom of the order, starting P9, we have Fragmaster's number on a 54.83.
Will be interesting to see what Number can do as this race progresses, because if he does have as little practice as I think, he'll be starting off a bit rocky, and we might see him making his way through the field later on in the race. I believe that, we do have quite a big gap in the middle of that field, because we've got Roney on a 59, and then we've got over a second gap back to Redbot, and then another small gap back to Achan, so we could see a little rift forming there very quickly.
All right. Well, the schedule is a little bit different today because we did not have enough qualifiers to fill 2 full sessions. So they've done 1 qualifying session. It'll be a few minutes yet before they do the driver's briefing and set the grid. So we'll do a review of our upcoming events. Next weekend, no, not next weekend, 2 weeks from now, our first events of 2021 on January 10th at 1400 hours UTC. We have the 4th round of the MRC BF1 series. That will be the second Grand Prix of Japan from the Kyoto National Circuit. Part of the oval with part of the infield. Very fast and exciting circuit. Lots of fun to drive the BF1. Should be fun for us to watch and call as well. And at the same track, Kyoto National, we will have the first round of the 2021 New Dimension Racing G22 Challenge. That coming to you here on simbroadcast.tv, 1800 hours UTC, just an hour or so after the conclusion of MRC BF1 League. Again, both of those events, January 10th, 2021, presented here on Twitch with Sim Broadcast. We estimate about 9 or 10 minutes until the driver's briefing. Again, only 1 qualifying session today. We ran 1 group instead of 2 because of the low number of drivers. So we're going to take a moment. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. And we're back, just about a minute and a half away from the start. We got a couple cars going out on track to do final warm up, shake out the sillies, get the blood flowing before they set the grid. We'll return to our stories that we had at the top of the broadcast as we're getting ready for the start of this race. First one was Alexi Lamerto's dominance. Doesn't look like that will figure in today, Adam.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a really close race by the qualifying times we've got up on the board so far. Yeah, nice battle for the lead, maybe. So yeah, Alexi's dominance is going to be ending because he definitely is not on that board. Yeah, Sean Lee, he's going to shake up the championship a bit if he can get a good result. Sonochki as well, he's up there in the championship, and if he can get a good result in here, he could be even further up there.
Yep, and that was Sean Lee was our second topic when we started the broadcast. Can he recover? We said he did well. Pardon me, at West Hill, and then struggled a bit at Kyoto. But now he has a chance to take back a lot of the points that he's lost from Alexi Liberto. But he has to do well today. He has to capitalize.
He does indeed. Got about half a minute till the race starts. The drivers are just making sure they're on track. Got 47 laps here today, and we're looking at about 2 or 3 stops on tires. Fuel should be fine for 2 stops. Some people are saying they'll probably get about two full tanks of fuel in that car, so it'll be interesting to see the fuel strategy as well.
And there we go. We've got the grid set for the formation lap. Rando out there in P1, Sean Lee alongside. Lights will be turning up in just a moment to start the formation lap. These guys will start going around, warming their tires, and then set the grid for the start of this race. The third question we had, the third topic we had to talk about this event was attrition. And now the attrition question, I think, has become a bit more interesting, Adam, as Sean Lee goes around on the formation lap in turn 1.
And so is Pedro Picanco. We missed that.
Yeah, Sean Lee did that right in front of Christian Chinaski, who barely avoided him. Sean Lee now recovers. Doesn't look like he impacted anything. I don't think anyone hit him. I don't see any damage on the car, though these are very delicate cars. The question now will be, is he allowed to overtake to resume his grid position, or will he get some instruction from the stewards about what he should be doing as he has contact with Etienne? Sean Lee tried to go by Etienne to resume his grid position. Etienne didn't see him there, was warming his tires and drove into the side.
The wall. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, this will surely draw some scrutiny.
Sean Lee assumed that he could just go straight back past Etienne, and Etienne was not having it, so be interested to see what the stewards say about that. We might get a restart.
Sean Lee not happy about that, but I think we can say pretty fairly that it was a confusing situation. Not sure that we should blame Sean nor Etienne. Just kind of an unusual circumstance on a formation lap. Etienne's car does not appear to be damaged.
The barrier as well, giving himself a lot of right-hand side damage. This is crazy. We've never seen this before.
No, we haven't.
Definitely.
Sean Lee's.
This reminds me of China last year in the F1, where we had cars spinning off every which way.
Sean Lee has now returned to his proper position in the order, ahead of Ronnie Krampusch and Christian Chinaski. Whether he will draw the ire of the admins remains to be seen. He had contact with at least one car on the way through. We didn't see it. Christian Chinaski collected him when he went around in turn 1 at the very start of the formation lap. Questions now about a restart. We will see what happens. Sean Lee now letting cars past him to the grid.
Apparently, as drivers are saying, read the rules. Apparently, if you do mess up on the formation lap, you've got to let everyone by. Or, well, not let everyone by, but maintain your position. So Pedro Picanco's done that, but yeah, Sean Lee tried to get back past everyone and caused a collision, so be
Now
very
Sean Lee,
interesting.
now Sean Lee will take up the back of the grid.
So now Sonochki's been promoted to P2, and Sean Lee's all the way back in 9th. So this is going to be very interesting.
Well, in any case, well done to the drivers to find the appropriate grid positions with that shakeup. The lights turning up now. Rando looking for the lights in pole position. And they are green. Rando gets a very slow start. Christian Sonochki is going to pull alongside him on the left side of the racetrack. Ronnie Kronpus is going to be right behind Rando going into turn 1. Rando keeps it tight. Christian Sonochki able to pass him on the outside, manages to clear him. Is going to go into the chicane, the most dangerous part at the start of this lap. Ronnie Kronpus gets into the tires and off into the grass. Rando going to streak off into the lead. Ronnie Kronpus managed to avoid contact with the drivers behind as he goes slow into the grass.
Behind in the back, Pedro Picanco's back on track with a lot of front right damage, and Lucas Finco managed to keep his car relatively clean with a bit of rear end damage, but that's 2 cars that have gone round.
With the excitement at the front and at the back, we were not able to see Sean Lee making a blinder of a start going from the back of the grid. From position 8th or 9th, now running in 5th, the second behind Ronnie Kronpus, who has recovered to retake position 3 going into the corner there. Looks like he clears number. Ronnie Kronpus recovering after a brief off at the start of the lap, and now Sean Lee encroaching on number in the fastest part of the circuit.
You're talking about attrition. One thing that's very important at Fern Bay is keeping your suspension intact over those curbs. It looks like some of these drivers are already getting some damage to the chicanes, so maybe they haven't thought about that in their setup making, giving it a bit of a softer dampers. But this is Sean Lee's already struggling a lot with the aero drop. This is crazy stuff.
Yeah, and that's not going to do much for the tires. The rear tires of his car, he had a big slide going into the first left-hander there, and then an even bigger one in the second left-hander. Looks like he's got an undercross. Oh, number has a spin right in front of Sean Lee, manages to gather it up without going off into the barriers. Sean Lee gets by up to 4th position. Looks like after that little spin in front of Sean Lee, Number has pitted. Not sure if he took any damage. I don't believe he would have. May just be changing tires. I have not seen Adam.
To note, Pedro Picanco's just retired.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Adam. Redbot, a big off after the first chicane. Huge slide across the grass, rear of the car, into the fence. Notably the chain link fence, no Armco barrier there. The back of that car bent badly. The wing is broken, the suspension is all askew. That's the front wing damaged as well. He has a lot of damage. He'll go around. Looks like it's a struggle to drive the car. He may draw the ire of the admins for driving an impaired vehicle. Adam, please continue.
Yeah, very hectic start, and that has let Sonochki and Rando run away at the front. Ronnie's not being able to keep the pace on these cold tires to catch up with them. Interestingly, starting on R4s, which we thought was probably not the best strategy, and it doesn't look like it is, because getting heat in those tires is like a real challenge. Already about a 5-second gap up to the leading 2.
Looking forward to Christian Sonochki, who's running in the lead. Another big slide around those 2 fast left-hand corners with Rando coming up behind him, just about a second behind. I think we could take a moment to look down the order. It seems I will say this and then perhaps regret it immediately. The excitement has died down just briefly, so we'll take a look down the order. Christian Sonochki, who ended up starting P2 after Sean Lee fell down the order, spinning on the formation lap, had to take the back of the grid. Sonochki leading from Rando, about 1.5 seconds behind. Ronnie Kronpus behind him in 3rd. Sean Lee recovering from the back of the grid, 8 seconds adrift of the lead in 4th position. Behind him in 5th, Etienne, Zanella, and then Trespasser, that's Darius Brzezinskis. Redbot behind him, Lucas Finco, and Number, who took an early pit stop running at the back of the order on R4s, has just overtaken Lucas Finco for P9.
Got Redbot in the pits, presumably to fix that damage, indeed. Yeah, So is Lucas Finko. He had a spin that we missed. He looks like he's going for tires and damage.
Yeah, it just caught him as he stopped. Looked like he
As
had
we've
really bad
got
damage to the rear wing.
Zanella and Trespasser getting past Atian down the bridge. Looks like he may have had an excursion into the wall there because he's got a lot of damage on his left-hand side.
Yeah, it looks like ATN may have gone straight into a barrier or the tire somewhere because he has crunched the front wing. We've got in our ears learned that he also had an incident on the formation lap, apart from being collected by Sean Lee, that has damaged the front of his vehicle.
So Trespasser is already feeling the woes of the aerodrop, getting stuck behind Zanella here. He's been following me.
Sorry to interrupt, Adam. Redbot, another huge accident, even bigger than his first. The car is crabbing badly, and he's nose first into the barriers. He has a reverse gear, but he won't be able to use it because the left rear wheel of his car is all askew. Looks like he just gets it free of the barriers. I have to believe that the admins will call a safety car or a virtual safety car or just demand that he come off the circuit because that car is badly damaged and in danger.
That's in a very dangerous place on the bridge. No place to get the car off. Admin's not doing anything at the moment, so this is interesting. Got the leaders coming up behind and the admins have done nothing. No virtual safety car or safety car. And we've got a car strewn across the track.
Yeah, he's now spun around. He's got it stopped on the grass, so Christian Chnosky, Rendo can come through safely. Looks like he's parked. There we go. Now we have a virtual safety car. Yeah, virtual safety car. As Sean Leoneroni on the power coming through the hairpin there onto this part of the circuit, had to get on the brakes and into the pit limiter in order to abide the virtual safety car. Redbot will apparently continue and try to bring this car around the pits for a second pit stop to repair damage.
So we've got another car with some crazy damage on, instead of the left rear, on the right rear, and Zanella, her loco. This is mental stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a full safety car here, because virtual safety car just isn't enough for this.
Following Sanoshki now under virtual safety car conditions, he's rather than running on the limiter, he's on the rev limiter in first gear to match virtual safety car speed.
Yeah, Sean Lee has got his first gear on the limiter, whereas Roney's in fifth gear feathering the throttle, so Sean Lee will be at 140 the whole time, whereas Roney will be around 135 the whole time. So Sean Lee's managed to close up a bit. As we go green, in an awkward place for Sean Lee, he might not be able to capitalize, but with an alternative line on his freezing cold tires onto the home straight. Sean Lee with a nice run going into the first corner, goes to the outside. The nice bank, and this should be easy, but he goes round almost. He managed to save it, but we've got another virtual safety car because Zanella is beached.
Yeah, while that's happening, Zanella's beached. Looks like he's high. Oh, he almost comes across in front of another car. I didn't see which car that was. Zanella trying to back the car across the circuit to rejoin. While that happened, Trespasser had spun the car. It didn't appear to have any damage at the other end of the circuit. Zanella now trying to recover this car. We got a clarification about the rules during the last virtual safety car. Redbot had asked permission to retire. We had forgotten that the drivers need to request permission from the admins to retire from the race. Otherwise, they are compelled to continue per the rules. Hence why Redbot had tried to recover and drive around to the pits. He was granted permission to retire and did so.
Yeah, interesting to see that Janela just isn't pitting. He doesn't want to retire, obviously, because he's not asked the admins, but he's sitting on track. You would assume that the a bit more than a virtual safety car with this. He wants the rescue car, I believe, because that'll push him around. That'll be what he's waiting for. Sinochki comes past him.
While that's happened, Trespasser has found the pits, taking a pit stop. Looks like he has changed tires. I did not see the compound. And has been stopped for a long time. I wonder if he had damage or if he's just taking a full fuel load. I don't know that a full fuel load can go the entire distance. Can it, Adam?
I think he did, yeah, I think it's about 200% fuel you need, so two fuel tanks. But he's back out now. He did have quite a bit of damage to repair.
Rando had to avoid Zanella crabbing the car around the back of the circuit to try to recover to the pits. Managed to avoid it, but a scary moment. All right, looking around the other cars on the circuit while we wait for this virtual safety car to clear. We do apologize for the rather silly look of Zanella's crabbing car. Combination of a bit of lag. He's in South America and the server is in Europe, plus the physics of all of the components of the car being bent into awkward shapes makes that look a bit unsavory. We do apologize for that. We will look around to cars in better condition that will hopefully stay that way for the remainder of this event.
Yeah, I can imagine if Lift for Speed had engine temperatures, we'd have a few of these drivers retiring from the race with their redlining cars. It's pretty crazy how Sean Lee is full throttle in the car, burning so much fuel behind Roney, who's, you know, trundling around in 6th gear. They're preserving, as well, his fuel. You know, he's only at about 9,000 RPM, whereas Sean's at 20,000 in the red line.
Yeah, Pete's just reminded us in our ears that Sean Lee is a mouse driver, so he doesn't really have much choice but to go full throttle. Otherwise, he has to. He's going to be off throttle, and it'll be difficult for him to maintain a pace. Not sure why he feels compelled to keep a consistent pace.
Everyone on. I just want to interrupt. Everyone on R4s, all their tires are like freezing cold, black cold. It's crazy. Finally, we've got Zanella in the pits, so hopefully we're green, but this is crazy. I think we had Atian round there. Everything's going crazy.
Yep. Back to green flag racing. Christian Szymanski takes off well clear of Rando in the lead. Rando behind him, again, clear of Roney and Sean Lee, who will be racing one another. Sean Lee all over Roney here, has unable to take care of him just yet. Has a peek to the inside to keep Roney well away. Oh, and it worked. Sean Lee gave him the juke to show off in his mirrors. Roney went wide in the grass. Sean Lee capitalizes, clears him easily, goes a little bit wide into that corner, but he'll be far ahead of Roney to chase down Rando.
Yeah, Roney's tires not only have dirt on them, they are freezing cold. I expect if he's not in at the end of this lap, there's, you know, something's wrong.
Trespasser in the pits again while all this is happening. Christian Szymanski comes by to put him a lap down, perhaps 2 laps down. We'll have to check that.
Yeah, anyone on R3s has got a big advantage at the moment because the people on R4s have, you know, freezing cold tires.
I'll correct myself. 1 lap back, Trespasser. Just got past to put a lap down by Christian Szymanski, who is driving away into the distance. He's 15 seconds clear of Rando. He just puts a wheel off into the dirt there. That's a risky place to dump a wheel off the circuit. 18 seconds clear of Sean Lee. Sean Lee really looking to capitalize on the absence of Alexi Lamerto during this event. Unable to do it so far, running about a pit stop's time behind Christian Szymanski.
Yeah, one thing to note, I've just been told, is a mandatory tire change is in effect in this race, but Trespasser's tire change during the virtual safety car period might not count, as it has to be under the green flag. So we expect to see him in again for maybe R3s or something. Although he did just make another stop about a minute ago, so...
Yeah, he's made 2 stops. I think both of them were under virtual safety car conditions. We'll have to go back and check that or get clarification from the admins. I was about to say that I was right. I am a prophet. I had, in fact, cursed us and the event when I said the excitement had died down. Then everything happened at once with cars getting into the barriers and crabbing around the circuit. Hopefully, we will see some good racing and less of the unfortunate events around the circuit as Trespasser puts a wheel off in the dirt, has a big slide coming through there, trying to recover after a couple early stops. Well, we're
finally,
finally
those on R4s, their tires getting back up to temperature, but that's taken a lap or two, which is a lap or two of going a few seconds a lap slower. Got a car round on start finish, Trespasser. He's got a bit of damage on that car. Be wondering if he goes into the pits again.
Yeah,
his
been
tires
both
will
of the
not
car.
be in good condition.
Yeah, and he's done that right in front of Rando. He gets into the tires there, the tire barrier a little bit. I was about to say, until Trespasser crashed, looks like the car's not too bad because he's going full speed around the sweeping corners on the circuit. He dips a wheel off. Really easy to lose the car there if he's not careful. He had to back out of the throttle. I was about to say that we're used to seeing a Grand Prix driving clinic at the front of this field.
Trespasser goes deep into turn 6. He's got more damage on that left-hand side. We'll be seeing him in the pits at the end of this lap, I assume.
It's hard to finish a thought with all the action on this track.
Yeah,
he's done
wide
it again.
again.
The tires. Obviously struggling. Yeah, at the front, Grand Prix driving clinic. Used to seeing it from Alexi Lamerto. Today we're seeing it from Christian Sanowski, who's had a few struggles in earlier events. Now has clear air ahead of him. Nobody hounding him behind. He's able to just drive out front, concentrate, set a good pace for himself. Yeah, well, Adam, we're barely 8 laps into this race. 8 laps into the race. Christian Sanowski about to complete the 9th lap, coming through the start-finish now. A lot has happened with 10 cars in 8 laps.
Well, we started with 11 and we are down to 9, but it looks like we might have another couple retirements because Heraloco is in the pit lane, pootling about. So yeah, it's crazy stuff. We've got Sonochki 15 seconds up the road from Rando in 2nd place, commanding lead already.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Roni's gone around on the grass in the last few corners of the circuit. Doesn't look like he's hit anything, and he's recovered back on now, but he'll be losing even more time to Sean Lee. Please continue.
Yeah, Sean Lee catching Rando up front, a bit faster. Not so much over the last lap, but over the last 5 laps, he's been closing that gap. Nice slide into that corner. We don't normally see the drivers sliding these BF1s, but if they can do it precisely, it can be faster. As you see, quite a lot of damper damage already on that BF1 of Nova, because as I said at the start, these chicanes really do affect that suspension. Is maybe not picked the right setup as he came out the gates. Although Rando and Sonochki have the same damage.
Yeah, I was about to say that Christian Sanowski has a lot. The toe is out on all 4 wheels in his car, and he's been clattering the curb in the middle of the circuit, coming around the back straightaway. I don't know that he'll be able to continue doing that for the entire race without it compromising the car pretty badly.
Yeah, Roney in his normal, pretty passive, take it easy style, his suspension is in pretty good nick, so it'll be interesting to see if over the course of the race he is faster, as he won't have to maybe repair damage or anything like that. So he goes round to lap Zanella and he's into him. Zanella not giving way well enough, and Roni with a lot of left-hand side damage now. That's a tricky one because it looked to me like Zanella was getting out of the way, but that is a weird corner. Looks like a racing incident to me, even though Zanella was a lot behind.
Yeah, that drew a bit of confusion from Zanella. I don't know that he expected Roni to be there when they got together. It looked like Zanella came out of it worse than Roni did. Roni able to continue with some damage, but further compromises his race. He's falling even further behind Sean Lee.
Yeah, there is only so much you can do as a lapped car, but that was not very good sight. I wouldn't want to give blame to anyone, but I would have to put it on Zanella being the lap behind that he is.
Lap behind and a couple trips to the pit stops after a few incidents. I think in a race like this, the back markers who are struggling that badly probably need to pay special, very careful attention to the leaders coming through.
As we have Atian, it looks like his engine is dead. Maybe he accidentally hit the ignition button, but he's stranded on the side of the track. Turn 19, so it looks like we've got another retirement there.
And he's looking for the rescue car, so they may call, we don't know yet, they may call the rescue car and another virtual safety car.
Yeah, you can't restart these cars in Lift for Speed because there is no starter motor.
Well, if he were on a hill and he could roll the car, he could bump start the car, but that is a very flat part of the circuit. He is beached there. As we do get a virtual safety car, looks like they will bring the rescue car around to push him around, get him started again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure of the ins and outs of the BF1 on in this car, but I don't think you can bump start it, and I'm not sure if you can restart it in the pits either, so this definitely looks like a retirement.
My mistake. Thank you for correcting me there. All right, we'll follow, while the cars are running around under virtual safety car conditions, we'll follow the rescue car around as it comes to find Etienne and free him from his prison in the barriers with a dead engine. And while we're watching the rescue car come around, we will reset the order. On his 11th lap, we have Christian Sinoski driving out well ahead of Rando, who started the race on P1. Sean Lee running 41 seconds adrift in P3, had taken P2 in qualifying and was P2 on the grid, spun the car on the formation lap and had to take up the back of the grid. Ronnie Kronpost, who just had an incident with a back marker in 4th position, number up to 5th. Good for him. He started from the back, was only able to set one qualifying lap after coming in late, running pretty well in 5th position. Lucas Finko behind him in 6th. Trespasser struggling a little bit, has already done a couple pit stops in just the first 10 laps of the race, running in 7th position. Etienne beached, about to be freed in 8th position, and Zanella running in 9th.
So he's just binned Atian. So the driver of the rescue car 2, if I'm not wrong, is Nico Bilicic. Not Nico Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4. It's Nico Bilicic.
Cousin, push my car.
He's just about got him to the pits as he recovers back to his
he's
station.
pushed him free and then taken off. I don't know that Etienne actually made it into the pits, did he?
I still don't believe that you can restart this car even in the pits. So
no, you are right. I was wrong earlier. He will have to retire the car because he won't be able to restart it.
So it looks like we'll be going green as soon as the rescue car is off the track, off the racing line. Obviously, Nico Belisic wants to get a little point on the board there. As we're going green, as we've still got a rescue car on the track, this would not be, this would not happen in real life.
No, they've gone green with the rescue car on the circuit, and there is a car bearing down on the rescue car. The rescue car is going to be passed. He drives to the right side of the road. He's got blue flags.
Out of the way in
front of Rando P2. Adam, this is like watching a kart or NASCAR event from the 80s with rescue vehicles, safety vehicles out on the circuit, with competitors going by.
It is sim racing, so we don't need to follow the same rules as we do in real life, so it's fair enough. But that was a bit close with Rando going into turn 6.
That will have given Rando a bit of a heart attack. For our own amusement, I'll note that the rescue car 2 flagrantly violated the goal to pit speed limit as he came through. I'm sure the admins will be looking at that. All right, we're green again. Christian Sanoski, still out front of the race, coming through the last few corners to start his 13th lap. Behind him, about 15 seconds back, Rando just had an exciting moment with one of the rescue cars, passing him over the bridge about halfway through the circuit. As Christian Sanoski now coming into pit lane.
Interesting how he did not pit during the VSC. Maybe he wasn't in the right part of the track for that. We've got another retirement, so we're now down to, well, 7 cars, because Atian will, I assume, will not be. Atian isn't being allowed to reset his car. I'm not sure if he will. I believe he just has, but that means we've got Rando in the lead and Sean Lee past Christian Shinochki.
Yeah, now Christian Shinochki enjoyed a comfortable lead, had avoided back markers and any of the drama, having a lot of drama behind
there. Now, I'm not sure on the rules here. Do you get a warning for that, or is that an instant penalty in this season? This will be interesting to what the stewards will do here.
Yeah, Sean Lee's had a dismal race thus far, just goes wide into the hairpin coming onto the second half of the circuit, but that crossing the pit exit line, the blend line, may play to Sean Lee's hands. He's making a recovery drive to try to capitalize on Alexi Lamerto's absence. That might help him out.
Sonochki did have a 15-second lead, so if he gets a drive-through, he should be able to come in and out and still retain the net lead of the race. But this is going to be an interesting one. We'll keep you updated on how this plays out, because this could really impact the lead of the race. As Atian's left the pit lane, but he stopped on pit exit, and I'm not really. I think he wants to retire, and indeed he has retired. Yeah, so we're down to 7 drivers.
He had made a half-hearted request for a retirement and didn't get and did not get permission from the admins before he finally gave up. He's looking at the chatter. I think he's pretty disappointed with himself. I feel bad for him. Looked like he was giving it his all and just having a bad day out there. So best to him for a good effort. He had picked up he gave up after picking up a pit lane speeding penalty he had forgotten to put on the pit lane speed limiter after he was allowed to reset and leave pit lane. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Finally decided to give up and retire the car.
Interesting to know that Sonochki opted to repair the damage on his springs, so he's back down to a totally fresh car. Compared to, Roney behind him and Rando and Sean Lee in front of him.
More fun facts from production while we're watching the 7 cars on track go around. The rescue cars and safety car now in points-paying positions. We'll have to get clarification on whether they qualify for points. We may see them on the order in the next round in 2 weeks. We'll keep everyone updated on the support vehicle championship.
We've got Rando set the fastest lap the last time around. Tires coming good to him. Suspension isn't though, he's still got big damage on those dampers, but that looks like the norm. As we go on board with Sanochki going past Lucas Finko, giving it some real aggression over those curbs, trying to make up as much lost time as possible.
Following number around now, we've only mentioned him once. He came in late and was able to set a lap time that allowed him to take the start. Now he's running a respectable 5th position. He just I noted it because he just set a personal best lap. Don't know that he's done much BF1 driving around this circuit or at all. Adam mentioned earlier that he primarily races treaded tire road cars. But a good effort from him, running P5, staying out of trouble, no drama that we've noted. And setting personal best laps, so well done to him.
Well, it was actually Trespasser that is the road tire king.
You are right, my mistake.
Number is part of the Fragmasters team, and he's an amazing FOX driver. I'm not sure he's quite used to the ludicrous speeds of the F1 car, especially around a track like this, but this is a very respectable drive from him with no practice.
Yeah, very respectable drive from him. And our viewers will note that we had Number in the booth with us yesterday, giving us a lot of great information, insight about the FOX, particularly oval driving. We hope to have him join us in the future. He's putting on a good show for us today, a really respectable drive, and we really enjoy talking to him. So thank you to him. Well done to him. Hopefully he can keep this up and finish a respectable race in 5th position, or do even better. Long way to go yet.
And indeed. Rando strong out front. Tires looking in perfect condition still. And again, the suspension is pretty badly damaged, but as long as it's not in the red as he comes into the pits.
That was a very abrupt and pit entry. I think it's really easy to spin the car pulling the wheel like that. He went wide out of the final corner like he was taking the normal racing line. I wonder if he forgot that that this was his box lap, or if he just if that's normal for him to take an aggressive entry.
Yeah, I think he's just given it as much time, getting as much speed about as possible. So that gives Sean Lee our lead at the moment, as that was a very quick stop from Rando. I wonder if that was, yeah, he's opted not to take tires. That'll just be a fuel and a damage stop that.
And now Sean Lee is right where he needs to be, where he wants to be in order to compete for the MRC BF1 League Championship. He's in front. He needs to set really good laps here. Again, Alexi Lamerto not competing in this event today. He's a nearly a full race win worth of points clear of Sean Lee in 2nd position in the championship. So Sean Lee needs to get all the points he can here today. Ideally a win in order to close that gap into the final 2 rounds of this championship. Rando comes out about 13 seconds adrift, and then 18 seconds back to Christian Sanochki. We've not heard anything yet about Christian Sanochki having a penalty for crossing the pit exit line. We need to look into the rules for clarification there. We await any information from the admins about that. But still within striking distance of Sean Lee out front, with Rando running 2nd.
I believe we've got Trespasser waiting for an interview here. He retired early in the race, as he was pretty much, I believe, called in with no practice near the end of qualifying, because he wanted to make up a few extra places on the grid. Trespasser, Darius, how did that go? How was that race for you?
Sorry to interrupt you guys. I just want to note that Sean Lee coming into the pits right now. This should let Rando by, and it may be Christian Sanochki may be close enough to retake P2 behind Rando.
I mean, the practice is zero practice, but setup was pretty bad, so I was sliding pretty much all track long, so it was hard to
Sorry,
drive.
guys.
Sorry to
Need to interrupt
interrupt
you a
you
second
again.
time. Kristen Chinoski coming across the start-finish line right behind Sean Lee, who gets out into P2 just ahead of Kristen Chinoski. Sean Lee's going to be out on cold tires with Kristen Chinoski behind him. Kristen Chinoski was running in the lead of this race, well clear of positions 2 and 3 as he rose into the grass. He's got a little bit of damage. He's struggling in the grass, and Sean Lee is getting away from him. Don't see how or why Kristen Chinoski got damaged, but he was right on Sean Lee's tail going into turn 1 and now losing time. This is exactly what Sean Lee needs. He needs to run down Rando, try to take a win, or at least preserve P2 in order to stay alive in this championship.
Yeah,
Apologies, Trespasser. Please continue that thought.
Yeah, I think just picked the exact wrong time for an interview.
Nothing wrong. Sanaki has low pressure, very low pressure, I think. His tires are so hot. I mean,
Indeed, yeah, he's struggling to keep that under control. It doesn't look like he has that much damage, but the tires certainly are damaged. So yeah, how is that race for you? Am I right in saying that you joined with no practice just to make up the numbers?
me and Number just joined to make a numbers. I think not practice, just went in, but I didn't have a setup, so I made something pretty fast, but it was not working, and that's it. I was sliding all over the place.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, normally you aren't really a slick tire driver. You're the fastest in the turbos or in the GTIs, because we saw last week you were one of the fastest drivers on the whole grid in the 6 hours of Aston. But obviously today, not up there. Any reason why you prefer the road cars instead of the race cars?
Because it's easier for me to make a setup for them, so for me easier to get limits of them. In slick cars, it's about practice. You need tons of practice on them. So I pretty much lack practice on them.
I want to talk about your teammate a little bit. So you said that you guys had joined without much practice in order to make up the grid. Dumber's doing really well out there. He has set a couple personal best laps during this race. He got one qualifying time in order to take the grid, and now he's doing really well. He's not your teammate. I've mixed up teams. My apologies.
Yeah, no problem. We just joined together. That's it. He got set on from car number 45, so he's doing decent. So that's now did. Wow. Almost.
It's
sorry to
got
interrupt you.
Sinotchki round in front of Roni. Roni takes to the grass for avoiding action. He's managed to avoid any damage, but his tires are going to be red hot, even more red hot than they were, and he's going to have a lot of dirt on them that needs to wear off.
Yeah, he will have damaged the front wing. He fortunately went nose first into the wall. Didn't look like he caught any of the suspension, the wheels, any of that in the wall. It was straight in. But you're absolutely right. Tires are going to be beyond cooked now. He was obviously struggling with overheated tires, and now it's going to be even worse.
Yeah, I would expect him to be in the pits at the end of this lap for some new tires, maybe some R4s, as he goes wide again.
He needs to pit now.
Exactly, he really does need to pit now.
This will play to Number, who we were just talking about, running a careful and well-controlled race. Now just a few corners behind Sinotchki. He's going to come by and take P4 as Sinotchki comes into the pits.
Sinotchki's not in the pits. He's decided to stay out with those boiling hot tires.
I think he decided to stay out because he wants one stop. And if he pits now, he will need to pit again for fuel.
Yep.
All right, Trespasser, Darius, thank you again for joining us in here and giving us your insight, correcting a couple of my mistakes. I appreciate that. Maybe we'll have some time later in the race to chat again. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Well, Adam, it was looking really good for Kristen Chinoski. Now it's gone wrong for him. Meanwhile, I think we missed this while we were talking to Trespasser and Snosky went around. Sean Lee now down to P3, Roney ahead of him.
Yeah, Sean Lee's got loads of right-hand side damage. He's obviously gone into the wall at some point. I'm not sure where, but I really don't know how that's happened. I don't know what part of the track that could be.
Yeah, and he's clearly struggling with the car as well. It's crabbing pretty badly when he turns. This has big championship implications. Sean Lee really bad damage on the rear of the car. He's going to have to come in and repair that. He needed to do well in this event to capitalize on the absence of Alexa Lamerto, who's been dominating the first couple rounds of the championship. Sean Lee had a golden opportunity on the plate in front of him, and now it's all gone wrong with bad damage to the car. He'll have to come in and fix that.
We did indeed say that this would be a race of attrition, and it looks like it really is turning out that way. Sean Lee will be in the pits. I think he was due a pit stop anyway, but not one this long for this much damage. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of his podium fight, I would imagine. But we're getting word that he caught the grass on, I believe, turn 5, and that sent him into the wall.
Speaking of grass, sorry to interrupt, Christian Szymanowski just went across the grass in the very same position, managed to gather it up going over the little hill on the sweeping corners and kept it out of the fence, but a scary moment for him after he's already had one off. With Sean Lee in the pits, that allows Number up to P4. I would have said that he's running a quiet race, but now he's drawing our attention, running consistently, staying out of trouble, and just taking up positions as attrition claims the drivers ahead of him.
Well, I keep saying it again and again about Roney. He always comes good during the race, and this is looking like a beautiful job by him. He's kept it out of trouble, kept it out of the wall. Well, out of trouble most of all. You know, he had a little incident with Zanella, but he's pretty faultless this whole race. He's got a little bit of a gap up front, but he's kept it clean, kept it out of any sort of issue. And he's currently got a massive gap back to Szymanowski. And it does look to me like he is going for a 2-stop race, because I don't believe he's been in so far. He may have been in for tyres actually, but this has been a brilliant job by him so far.
And speaking of brilliant jobs, out in front is Rando. He started the race from pole position, fell down the order a couple positions on pit stop cycles, and now with cars struggling behind him with a few incidents, now has a huge lead over Roney. He is also running a consistent, well-controlled race. On his 21st lap, coming through the back of the circuit now. Looking good for him if he can keep this under control for the remaining half of the race. Behind him, we have Grona Krampus in second position, as Adam was just talking about. Christian Szymanowski, who had led the race for a while, down in third position. Number up to fourth behind him, and Sean Lee, who needs to make the most of this event, again, to capitalize on the absence of Alexa Lamerto, struggling in fifth position. Lucas Finko behind him, and finally in seventh position, Zanella. 3-4 retirements thus far. Rescue car and safety car still running in the points. We will take a moment and be right back. Back with you. Ronnie Krompush just put the car into pit lane, locked up the tires coming across the line, managed to slow the car down. He is in for a pit stop from position 2, about 30 seconds clear of Christian Szymanowski, so he should be able to resume second position behind Rando at the end of this stop. We'll watch Szymanowski to see if he's able to come through or not.
He has gone for a tire change, so this might be a slightly longer to stop. He's going on to R3s.
Sanotsky coming across start finish now.
Goes by. Interesting to note, Zanella is following close behind Sanotsky. We might see him try to unlap himself. So this could get interesting. Sanotsky obviously struggling quite a bit with his tyres at the moment. It was Heroloco. Zanella has got pretty perfect tyres. Although a lot of suspension damage from those curbs. So yeah, Roney with a pretty standard stop. Looks like he's going for a two-stopper. And yeah, just getting a bit of trying to get a bit of heat in the tyres.
Sean Lee in the pits one more time, stopped in the box right now. That will allow Number to extend his gap in 4th position ahead of Sean Lee. Sean Lee now exiting the pits, coming through turn 1. And he'll have Rando coming up behind him, just a few corners back. Sean Lee, this has gone from bad to worse to now extraordinarily bad. He was looking for a really good finish here, and now he is at the tail end of the lead lap.
I'm very confused as to why he pitted there, because he had only pitted a few laps before for his damage, and his tyres were in fairly good nick. So unless something's happened, or he's got an interesting strategy, I'm not sure. We're getting word that he repaired damage again, so he might have made another mistake. Of course, he is on mouse, and with this many corners in this car, a mouse is a real handful. Looks like he'll still be in contention for a nice points haul though, so he should keep going.
Rando looks to be closing in on Sean Lee. Sean Lee obviously just in the pits. His tires would be a little bit cold. I don't know what compound he's gone on to. Maybe you could see that at him. Regardless of which compound he chose, they'll just now be coming up in temperature. Rando easily closing on him. Probably have him on the front stretch here. Sean Lee will be compelled to let him through with the blue flag indicator. Obviously not the race that Sean Lee wanted. It started well in qualifying and has gone all wrong since the green lights went on.
Yeah, Sean's got pace, but the blue flag, you'll have to lose another couple seconds to that. He's already in the dirty air. Sean Lee's giving it a proper sideways action coming out of that corner. If he doesn't let him through here, he'll have to let him through on the next straight. Rando will have to slow down a lot here, and that's already costing him time. I'm not sure Sean Lee understands that. Well, obviously he does, but whether he's willing to do anything.
Yeah, this would be a bit frustrating for Rando, having to drive around in Sean Lee's dirty air, and knowing that Sean Lee has been struggling.
This is another major corner for aero drop, and you know these cars are affected from seconds back. You know, in the GT cars, you need to be within half a second for anything to have an impact, but with the F1 cars, you can be affected from, you know, in real life it's a bit stronger of an effect, but you can be affected by a few seconds back in these cars, and he's just not giving way.
Yeah, it's Sean Lee's responsibility to get out of the way here. I wonder if he'll get a rather angry note from the admins. He's got clear blue flag indicators. Now he's driving right in front of Rando, struggling. He should be getting out of the way. In any case,
yeah, he
Rando
better get out of the way on this straight.
Yeah, Sean Lee's not compelled to move over. The rules
Yep.
do indicate that he should respect blue flags, and now he finally yields. Nearly gets into the back of Rando. As he does yield, tries to tuck in behind in the braking zone, which he doesn't really need to do. I was about to say that it would be in Rando's interest with a half a lap lead, nearly half a lap lead over Christian Szymanski to just hang back and control his race, kind of reset and drive carefully behind Sean Lee. But now he's through. He should be able to drive away. He's had his race well in hand, and Sean Lee has been struggling.
Yeah, as we've got a call for the 80 car of Zanella to go and pit to repair his car, as he's got, well, a fairly unhealthy looking front suspension. His shock, his front left shock is almost completely gone. Obviously his setup's not set up at all for not set up at all for taking the curbs that this track has.
He was
He's
asked to
allowed
go
one
through
more
the pits.
lap.
I was about sorry, I wanted to call out Zanella. He was asked to come into the pits and chose not to as he drives through the tires in the chicane there. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, a bit of confusion there with the admins. One of them's saying that left front suspension will make another lap. Another one's saying that he has to go in pits. So interesting one there. But as long as he can keep doing the times, he should be okay. He's not been called for a black and orange flag yet, so you've got FM number in the pits. Going for a tire change.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Adam. We've got Zanella. The left front suspension had dipped into the red bar, completely broken. Now has come back to an orange bar, nearly full. In any case, that suspension effectively completely broken. He will now be compelled to come into the pits or draw the ire of the stewards.
Yeah, you have to keep up those curbs. I mean, if I were him, even if it wasn't the stewards telling me to come in, I would come in, because that car, anytime soon, you know, he'll be going straight on when that thing fails.
Seemed some chatter as Number comes out of the pits following his pit stop that he had apparently spun and was in to repair damage, so it was going really well for him. Had come up to 4th position, now lets Sean Lee through for 4th, back down to 5th. Still a good race for him. He obviously would not have wanted to go around, would have preferred to preserve that 4th position on cold tires, nearly gets into the grass and is back underway.
That puts him a lap behind, although he may have been a lap behind already. As we see, yep, Aeroloco's in to repair his car. Staying on the same tires, funnily enough, some R3s. Obviously, with those tires, you know, if they're through the heat peak, they'll be faster. So, any chance for some faster lap times, he'll take.
All right, we'll take a look at the top of the order now. Rando able to get by Sean Lee after following back marker Sean Lee. Sean Lee a lap down now. After following Sean Lee down around for a lap, is now clear in the lead of the race ahead of Christian Szymanski, back up to 2nd. I think we missed him passing Ronnie Kronbusch. I don't know if I'm mistaken and Szymanski had been running in 2nd for a while, or if Ronnie been in the pits, or what happened there. We'll have to look back at it. But Ronnie running 3rd, Sean Lee up to 4th, a lap behind the lead. Number in 5th, having just pitted to repair some damage. Lucas Finko in 6th. And rounding out the order, only 7 cars running. Zanella, Aeroloco, who just pitted to repair damage, in 7th position.
Yeah, quite a massive gap from 1st to 2nd. It looks maybe about a minute of a gap. Or maybe 40 seconds. 52 seconds I'm hearing in my ear. Yeah, commanding lead from Rando, although he will be due another pit stop soon enough. But solo Szymanski, I believe.
Rando, I believe you're right. Rando running his quickest laps of the race right now. His last lap was a 51.17, which was his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, they're both pushing their suspensions to the limit. Obviously, you know, this track does require soft suspension, but maybe even with any setup changes they've made to make the car easier over the curbs, that may still not be enough. The only driver that's really kept the suspension in that good of a nick is well, it's Roney. Because Lucas Finko's suspension doesn't look too bad either, but he's not had the pace that the other drivers have had. Yeah, it looks like Sanochki's rear right could fail any lap. And yeah, he's just had a word from the admins that he needs to watch out. Again, no meatball flag for anyone yet, but you know, you would be, you'd be wanting to do something about that before it got to that point. As Rando, the fastest lap, 1:50.6. Still around 2 seconds off the qualifying times, but we don't expect them to be going that fast.
That is half a second quicker than his previous fastest lap, which came on the lap prior and well clear of anyone else on the track. He is the clear quickest car on the track by a wide margin, and just extending his lead over Christian Sanotsky.
Yeah, taking any opportunity to go fast on those tires. I see now he's taking it a bit easier through that chicane, maybe trying to get the suspension to last a bit longer, reduce the time he has to spend in the pits for damage.
Yeah, I've noticed on the last couple laps watching him go around that it looks like he is he's kind of rolling in and out of the throttle and avoiding the curbs as much as possible as he goes through the quick right-hander there and then the left-hander. He had been clattering those curbs earlier to shorten the track as much as possible, now staying off them. In the left-hander here, though that curb is relatively low, stays off that one as well. Trying to care for his suspension and bring this car home. With only half distance done, still a long way to go to care for this car.
Yeah, Sanochki being told that he will have to pit soon. It doesn't look like he's got much more damage from the last time we checked in with that car, but it's still bad enough that he's having to go crazy slow through that chicane. Rando setting some nice consistent times, keeping it within about half a second of each other, and they're faster than anyone else on the track by, you know, seconds. This is really a commanding lead. As in the back of the field, Lucas Finko into the barrier quite lightly, getting a bit of damage on his car, but it should be easy enough to nurse round for the few laps. But even more damage on his left-hand side. Maybe just trying to even out that damage.
The camber looked to be a little bit out, so it would have been awkward driving through that corner. And we can see damage on the upper and lower arms, so the car a bit askew. He'll have to nurse it back.
As the leader, Rando, looks like he's timing out. He's got 20 seconds on his timer. Yeah, we've lost our leader.
Oh, no.
We've lost Kamikaze. We've lost Rando. So we're down to 6 drivers. Now, if I'm not wrong, Rando should be able to rejoin and go a lap down, but that has totally ruined his race.
Yeah, that's terrible. He was in absolute command of this race when everyone else behind him has struggled in one way or another. That put Sanochki up to the lead where he was early on in the race, with Ronnie Kronpusch behind him in second. That is a fair bit of good luck for Sean Lee. He needed to have a good result, has struggled, was running a lap behind, now up to third position.
You know, depending on what happens to Sanochki, depending on his pit stops and, you know, his tires and his fuel, we could see Roney in contention for the win here. Because Roney, we don't normally see, he's a very fast, consistent driver, but he's never normally competing for a win. But this is, you know, a brilliant chance for him.
Of the drivers remaining in the race, only 6 of those now, for those of you keeping count. Roney has been the most consistent. Kristen Janowski has had a few offs. Roney, I believe, has been off once, but just did a kind of a lazy spin in the grass, managed to avoid any damage. Sean Lee has had his number of struggles. Number behind him, also off some damage. Lucas Finco and Zanella struggled as well. So a golden opportunity for Roney. We await a rejoin by Rando, who we believe would be permitted to rejoin the race 1 lap behind his last completed lap. But now enough time has passed that effectively puts him at the back of the pack. It would be a big struggle for him to try to resume the strong position he had early in the race.
I mean, if I were Rando, I'd be in a fit of rage at the moment. This is with such a commanding lead to be unfairly wiped out of the race. That's just
that is a real shame
big
for
shame.
him. Kristen Shanowski clouded the curbs coming through the second chicane.
Yeah,
just missed the tires and had to back out of the throttle.
That rear right really does look like it's about to fail. One more curb, and he'll be having issues with that.
And I wonder if he's even aware of it, because he has not relaxed his attitude toward the curbs at all. He is still riding over them fairly hard. He does avoid the curbs here, but had gone over the curb in the fast right-hand sweeping corner.
Yeah, if he isn't in by the end of this lap, he should be in. He should be having a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah, he's got another call from the admins to pit and given them an acknowledgement. Whether that's an acknowledgement, yes, I will pit, or I saw your message and I don't care, we will find out in just a moment as he comes through the final chicane.
As he's
into
the
curve and pulls in.
Yeah, one thing that these drivers are lucky to have in LFS is that as long as that damper doesn't go full red and doesn't completely fail, you could still go reasonably fast on these cars. There isn't much of a speed loss when the damper is maybe half or 3/4 damaged. As we see Roney making his way through to lead a lap.
Well ahead of Christian Sanowski, who is still stopped in the pits. This will give Roney a pretty big lead.
Of course, Sanowski will have had a long stop for damage with the state of that damper, so. And again, Sanowski cutting pit exit. This is yeah, well, we'll have to wait to hear more from the admins, or maybe I'll get something in my ear for confirmation, but normally if you cut the pit exit, you'll be seeing a drive-through.
Sorry to interrupt. Sean Lee coming into the pits now for another stop. I was about to say that he's found himself back on the lead lap with Rando's retirement from a disconnection, a timeout. And Sean Lee had an opportunity to catch up to Sanowski. It was only 10 or 15 seconds adrift, but now in the pits again. Quick stop. He's out again. Appeared like it was just a tire change or perhaps a damage repair. Just clips the pit exit line and back into the action.
Yeah, I remember City League of 24, round 2 I believe. I was maybe top 10, top 5, looking for a decent points haul, and crossed the pit exit line just with a fraction of my tyre, and yeah, drive through and race pretty much ruined with how competitive that field was.
Sorry to interrupt you, Adam. As we watch Roney go through Lucas Finco in the lead of the race, Rando has rejoined the server. We have not yet seen him rejoin the field. Don't know if he will. He'll be a couple laps behind if he does, but he is back in. All right, if you look to Twitch chat, now that we're about 2/3 of the way through the race, coming up with 2/3 of the way through the race, there is a poll for driver of the day. Not too many drivers in this race, but plenty of excitement out of all of them. So look to Twitch chat for that link and go for your driver of the day in this, the third round of the MRC BF1 series.
Yeah, I think I know who I'm voting for.
Can I guess?
You can indeed guess.
I
You've got
I
Rando
assume
back in the car.
we do have Rando back in the car. It would be difficult for me to choose over Roni or Rando. I assume your choice is Roni.
Yeah, my choice is Roni. It's been a brilliant performance from him so far. He got, 16-second lead over Sonochki, and he's got a pit stop or two in hand. Well, I think he's only made one stop this whole race, and yeah, brilliant command of the race he's had.
Roni back on circuit ahead of Sean Lee, getting blue flags. We will need to find out which race lap properly he is on. Obviously, the lap count for him in Live for Speed will not reflect the laps he completed in the race, according to the tracker. He will no doubt be at least a few laps behind.
I'm curious if they'll put him back to where he was when he timed out, or if they'll put him a lap behind the leader, or what they'll choose for him. I mean, whatever happens with him, he's still going to be on for a points haul. He's still going to have, I believe, 6 points for 7th place. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a decent finish.
But most importantly, it only took him one lap to clear the rescue cars and the safety car, so he is now running at the back of the Formula 1 cars in 7th points paid position.
Roni already with 6 votes for driver of the day, number in second with 2. So yeah, indeed, looks to me like Roni will take that, which
we should mention
I think is
number.
well deserved.
I agree. We should mention number again. He came in last second to set a qualifying lap and be permitted to take the start, and has run quietly and consistently. Had waffled around 4th and 5th position, back up to 4th position now, doing a really, really consistent race.
Yeah, Roni's kept a nice, consistent gap to Sonochki over the last few laps since he pitted, and I don't see that going down anytime soon. Yeah, Sonochki will definitely need to pit again with the condition of his rear tyres. And Roni will too, just because of fuel, because I don't believe you can make it on 2 stops alone, no matter how smooth you are. I mean, if he can make the fuel last, he might be able to do a 1 stop. He has completed his tire compound rules. He started on the R4s and now he's onto the R3s.
I'm watching Rando, who has, despite his misfortune, has not given up, is now all over the back of Sean Lee, running easily in his dirty air. Sean Lee obviously struggling, running laps in the 53s and 54s. Again, terrible fortune for Rando, disconnected from the lead of the race, timed out from the lead of the race, did not deliberately disconnect. But now back in the fight, running to preserve as many points as he can, and not giving up, giving Sean Lee mirrors full of his own orange car. Sean Lee's struggling enough. It might be wise for him to just let Rando through, because Rando obviously quicker the entire way.
It's interesting to note that they haven't given Rando any laps back, so he's on lap 3. And I'm wondering if that's something they will eventually get around to doing, but that's interesting from the admins.
Either way, fair play to him for getting back into the fight, preserving the points, continuing to participate. It was really bad luck for him, and I'm sure he's really disappointed, but we are glad to see him rejoin and continue driving around.
Roni continues to stretch out the gap in front. He's gained a second over the last lap as Sonochki laps Lucas Finko for the second time. Yeah, Roney, if it's a short pit stop, he should have a pit stop in hand here. So,
Car looks like it's working really well for Roney too. As you mentioned a few times earlier, the suspension is in great shape. He's been taking good care of it. The tires also in their optimal working condition. He has the car working at its maximum. As he clouts the tires, just clips them coming through the first chicane there. That's a bit risky because it could damage the front suspension or the front wing. He gets away with it this time. Everything going really well for Ronnie Krompus.
yeah, I'm wondering, would they have been able to challenge Rando if Rando hadn't had the timeout? Because Rando was around half a lap in front of Sonochki, and Roney's maybe a quarter of a lap in front. So, depending on, you know, whatever pit strategy those two had, it could have been close for the win. On pace for Roney, so this is great performance from him. Car in the wall in Heraloco, Zanella, massive right hand side damage. He's in the wall again.
In the worst place to do it too. That's a really fast part of the circuit with close barriers.
Yeah, his tires are incredibly thin as well, so.
Oh, and notably, he's done that in front of Sean Lee. Sean Lee trying to driving a recovery race, and now coming up on a badly broken back marker with Rando in his mirrors for his own enjoyment and amusement. I think this will be a nervous moment for Sean Lee. Zanella may be compelled to get out of the way as he nearly misses the tire.
And
Sean
there's
Lee
contact.
just clips the front tire.
Dear.
Rando gets through him without any contact. Sean Lee barely touched him, just managed to avoid a huge incident. That's a really fast chicane, and Zanella's going to be beached in the sand. He'll need the rescue car if he's not compelled to retire.
It is very interesting how Sean Lee took no note of the yellow flag at all there. I'm not entirely sure as to what he thought was going to happen going in there flat out, but
yeah, me either. Virtual safety car deployed so they can come extract Zanella from the sand. We try to avoid any bias or editorial comments on this channel, but I will say I hope that's a penalty for Zanella. He's done a fair bit of dangerous driving in this race. This is the second time that he has been beached, and they've had to call out the recovery car, the rescue car, in order to push him out. This is a danger to the other competitors.
yeah, if he isn't disqualified from this race, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a race ban or a massive grid penalty or something along those lines. Of course, this gives Roney even more chance to preserve his tires, save his fuel, even more of a chance to see if he can make it to the end without another stop. I would love to, you know, get an update on his fuel situation, but that's impossible to do. And on the speed, we can check the tires, but we can't check the amount of fuel that driver
Sorry,
has.
Adam. While they're extracting Zanella from the sand, he's free now and back on the pavement. Sean Lee took this opportunity for a pit stop. We saw the notification that he was in the pits. Now underway again, out of the pits. Coming past the pit exit line. Stays well clear of the white line and now back out on track. He did not take tires, still running on frigid, appear to be frigid R4s. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam.
It looks to me like, yeah, he didn't take any tires. The longer he goes around going slow on those things, the harder they will be to warm back up again.
Number in as well.
They are relatively fresh, so they should be easy enough to warm back up. You know, if they were any more worn, I'd be a bit concerned about getting them eased up again, but he should be fine.
Rescue car coming across the bridge now.
Full safety car deployed.
What's
I don't
know
why they've deployed a full safety car. Is Is this like a an F1 style safety car just for fun to put something in the mix? I don't see why we would go to a full safety car. We've had much worse this race
So
without a safety car.
we had some chatter in our ears about Roney speeding up when the full safety car came out. Obviously, they were under virtual safety car conditions. He would have been compelled to drive slowly at VSC speed and then sped up with the call for the safety car. I assume he will be okay there because they're going to be under control by the safety car, and they'll have positions frozen. They'll all be running line astern anyway. But kind of an odd moment there.
For Roney, he's had no chance to go into the pits there to maybe save any extra fuel. This call is an interesting one for me. I don't really know why they've done this at all.
I cannot find a reason either. We've appealed to production to try to figure out what's happening.
Safety car. Of course, these cars are used to going 300 kilometers an hour, not 50. So it's an interesting one.
So this does have one very interesting implication, and that is that Sean Lee, who was well out of this race, struggling badly, several pit stops, a couple incidents, is now very much back in the fight.
In the pit lane. I don't see why he keeps going in and out the pit lane. Was that his 5th or 6th stop? I heard someone saying to me, 10 or so laps that he was making his 4th stop, and he's had 2 there. So is this? I think this might make a record for the amount of pit stops in an F1 race.
So a bit more information from Chris McElroy, who noted that there was a very brief green while there was a car crabbing around on the track that would have been Zanella. And then immediately went to safety car. Still no idea why they've gone to safety car.
Yeah, bit of a weird move from the race organization there, but safety car only out for a lap.
Also just received a correction. I misunderstood Chris McElroy's message about going green. That was an earlier incident. We have no idea why there's a safety car out here.
It looks like both Sonochki and Roney might need to make another pit stop. I mean, we'll wait and see Roney's situation on fuel. He should be fine on tires. Sonochki might have to pit for tires though, so it remains to see what's going to happen in this race.
So we'll have to go around like this for a while as well. Oh no, they've just called it green. They didn't bunch up the field. They pulled the safety car off. Green flag. Sean Lee looked like he had the race coming back to him. Has now not had the field neutralized ahead of him so that he can capitalize. Roney makes a pit stop. Very angry about it in chat. We won't repeat what he had to say about it. They called the safety car off without bunching up the field just as he's making a pit stop. Terrible luck for him. Sean Lee is going to come around and be pretty close to him as Roney comes out of the pits. That's going to let Christian Shanotsky run away at the very front of this field. Both of them. I think Christian Shanotsky, he's a fair competitor. He'll be wondering exactly what's going on here, and Roney's going to be sick. He will be very frustrated about this, and rightfully so.
Yeah, Roney literally didn't have any chance to pit under the safety car. Got, this is nonsensical to me. He could potentially be caught by Sean Lee here.
Well, if nothing else, this has gone well for Christian Shanotsky. It looked like Roney had this in hand after Rando had it in hand for the first half of the race. Christian Shanotsky, the benefactor of a rather unusual safety car period. Roney caught out. Terrible misfortune for him. Safety car called in before the field was bunched up, and just as he was making a pit stop, he has it all to do to try to retake the lead of this race that he had earned on attrition, and then kept on the merits of his own talent. As Christian Shanotsky crosses the line to start his 39th lap, 8 laps remaining. Christian Shanotsky didn't do a terribly quick lap that last time around, in the middle of the 54s. The high 54s, sorry. So Ronnie Kronpusch is within striking distance, but he will have to set some blistering quick times to try to catch Shanotsky, and then he will have it all to do to pass him.
So now I'm getting out of the way for number lapping. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in chat someone's suggesting that this race should be classified as a non-championship race because of the lack of drivers and everything that's happened, and I think that would be a fair thing to do, really, because of more the lack of drivers than anything. Roney has a 30-second gap to Sanotsky, so even if Sanotsky decided to pit for fuel, tires, and damage, you know, it'd be very unlikely to see Roney catch up. So
yeah, we have cameras on Roney now, and he is. It is clear that he is driving as hard as he can, giving it his all to try to catch up.
I mean,
he goes over the curb there with a big slide. Just manages to keep control of the car. He's trying his best, but it's pretty far out of hand.
Yeah, he's obviously the red mist has gone down a bit. He's pushing as hard as he can. It's possible that with the condition that Sanotsky's tires are in, we could see a puncture if he isn't careful. You know, he's got 8 laps to the end, but those tires don't look like they'll last 8 laps. He'll have to be careful. So we have number is round at turn 17, I believe, or is that turn 19? He's got quite a bit of left rear damage. He's got a massive gap to the cars behind those, so he should take this opportunity to pit and fix that damage. But just taking it easy round to the end of the lap into the pit lane.
Though he's got a big lead, Christian Shanotsky still driving pretty hard, clattering the curbs. He has a lead in hand, and he could afford to just ease off a bit here, but still driving the car really hard. I think it's fair to say that Roney's not out of this. He certainly isn't giving up.
Saying that Roney isn't out of this, the gap from Roney to Sean Lee has gone down, is halved since Roney's pitted. If Sean Lee can put even more time on Roney, this could be a battle for the second place, or depending on what Sanotsky does, it could be the battle for the win.
Yeah, this had completely gone away from Sean Lee. Oh, as he has a big slide. This had completely gone away from Sean Lee, and he was driving to recover, and now it is back on for him. As Christian Shanotsky sets the fastest lap of the race, he doesn't need to, but he is doing it. Sean Lee within 8 seconds, now down to 7.5 seconds to Roney Kronpuss.
Well, LFS says it's the fast lap of the race, but that's because Rando got timed out and then rejoined, because Rando's fastest lap was a 50.6, which is almost a whole second faster than Sanotsky's fastest lap. Yeah, Sean Lee gained 0.6 of a second over Roney on that lap, but Roney had a little issue in that first chicane there, which lets Sean Lee close up even more.
So we talked about this early on in the broadcast, and then a couple times in the early laps of the race, the championship standings and the implications for Sean Lee. Sean Lee had started near the front in P2, spun on the formation lap and had to take up a grid position at the back. Was quickly up through the middle of the field early on in the race, and then had a number of trials and tribulations between then and now. Has managed to recover to P3. He is 23 points adrift of Alexi Lamerto in the Drivers' Championship. Alexi Lamerto not participating today. So Sean Lee had a golden opportunity to close the gap to Alexi Lamerto, perhaps even take the championship lead, being only 23 points adrift. Went wrong. Now back in a position to take a podium and really good points. And should something happen to the cars ahead of him, could indeed win the race. Now the gap to Ronnie Kronbusch, 6 seconds. Christian Shinoshki continues trundling ahead. Ronnie obviously struggling, and Sean Lee gobbling him up with 5 laps, just more than 5 laps remaining.
Be interesting to see what the gap is at the end of this lap, because it looked to me like it's maybe 3 seconds, 4 seconds.
Yeah, when Ronnie came through the chicane, Sean Lee was in the picture. Sean Lee does a 51.96, his best lap of the race. Now just inside 3 seconds of Ronnie Kronbusch. Great call, Adam. You nailed it. Ronnie clears the tires for Sean Lee to straight line the chicane. That'll buy him a little bit more time.
Yeah, I mean, it looked to me like Ronnie had a few issues on that last lap. Obviously struggling with the brand new tires that maybe aren't in the best nick. Although this lap looks pretty faultless so far.
So we talked about championship standings a moment ago. As they run with 4 and some distance laps remaining, the championship standings as they run will be Alexi Lamerto on 51 points. Again, not participating today, so he'll be stuck on 51 points. Christian Shinoshki will come up to 49, just 2 points behind Alexi Lamerto. Sean Lee, who was looking to capitalize and take the championship lead, running third on 43 points. Ronnie Kronbusch on 30 points, 21 adrift of Alexi Lamerto. And then Rando, who was in great position to haul a bunch of points. Still taking some points to have 19 as they run right now. Oh, Ronnie goes a little bit wide, puts a wheel on the grass, trying really hard to stay ahead of Sean Lee now.
Nova's round. Oh, that's any chance of a second place for him is disappeared. He's got massive lockup on that front right tire, and he's got big left-hand side damage. He was really looking good there for a pass on Ronnie, but that's a massive shame for Sean Lee.
He does have a pit stop in handover number, chooses not to come in. He'll keep going around with just 4 laps remaining.
Guess he's hoping for an error from Ronnie's, but Ronnie's been pretty errorless this whole race, so I'd be surprised if anything came of that.
A scary moment for Sean Lee, but it does not change the championship implications. Christian Shinoshki still in the lead, benefactor of an odd virtual safety car followed by a full safety car period earlier.
If I was
with a pretty big lead over Ronnie Kronbusch,
I would be taking, a safety pit stop for tires here. Maybe pop on a set of R2s and go for the fastest lap, because his rear tires are looking incredibly thin.
He could also just be crawling around. He doesn't have to push at all, but he's trying to set really good lap times. One of his best was just a few laps ago.
Another thing Shinoshki has to worry about is that right rear suspension, which is looking pretty badly damaged. I mean, looks okay so far, but if he clatters the curb just a little bit too hard or has a little mistake, that could be in the red.
Meanwhile, behind him, Ronnie Kronbusch, who has been relieved of pressure from Sean Lee after his mistake going off track. His car in very good condition. Suspension looks great. Tires also looks great. His last fleeting hope is that something goes wrong for Christian Shinoshki.
Yeah, the gap between Shinoshki and Ronnie is 35 seconds, which, is probably about 2 pit stops worth, depending on what you do in the pit stop. As we've got Kamikaze Rando is lagging out again. He's got a big timer. So yeah, looks like he's having another lag out. Yep, he's gone.
That's an even bigger shame for him. He had come back in to recover a few points. Hopefully, he can rejoin before the end of the race. And well, it doesn't matter that we've joked about the rescue cars and safety cars being in the points, but if he's able to rejoin at the end, he should be able to take a point for 7th place.
Yeah, it depends on their rules of finishing, because if he does rejoin, he won't have done 75% of the race or 90% of the race, so it maintains to see what will happen there.
We do have a clarification from the MRC admins. After the race, they will check back his lap count. Specifically, what their rules are for the credit he gets for laps completed and how his timeouts affect that, we don't know yet, but they are at least examining that situation. Christian Chnaski crosses the line coming through the first turn, starts his 45th lap. Tires still looking awfully thin. Suspension in rough shape.
His lap times are starting to fall. He does look like he is starting to take it easy on that car. But is it too little, too late? It remains to see.
Ronnie Kronpusch coming across the line now with a 52.11. That's a respectable time, pretty close to his best, and a fair bit quicker than what Christian Chnaski done on the last lap. But only a few laps remaining. Ronnie has a lot to do, and it needs a stroke of luck in order to retake the lead that he had enjoyed earlier on in this race.
Yeah, with Sonochki's right rear suspension, he's taken it very easy on all the right-hand turns, because if he starts taking those curbs again, he's going to get a major damage on that right rear suspension. And also his right rear tire is the one that's the thinnest.
He's still driving over the curbs. A couple left-hand corners there won't impact the right rear suspension, obviously, but as a matter of habit, he would do well to stay off the curbs, but he has not been avoiding them. He's still pushing. Looks like he's pushing pretty hard when he really doesn't need to.
I'm not sure if we could see a Hamilton-style puncture and finish trundle around on the final lap.
Sorry, Adam. Christian Chnaski has just gotten a warning from race control. 90% damage on his right rear suspension. I don't know that they will compel him to come in and repair it. If they do, he will have time to do so. He has about 30 seconds in hand from Ronnie Kronpusch. But a tentative, delicate situation for Christian Chnaski as he gets the chicane a little bit wrong, bounces over the curbs a little bit sideways.
Yeah, as I'm comparing him to Hamilton with those tires, he is number 77. He's more of a Bottas, obviously.
Yeah, if we compare him, I don't know that we want to do that. We don't wish anything bad on Christian Chnaski, but a comparison to Valtteri Bottas means a puncture coming in the next 20 seconds. So we hope that doesn't happen to Christian Chnaski. He's taken the lead here. He's taken the lead here fairly by his own doing anyway. Other competitors will have opinions about how Christian Chnaski assumed the lead of the race, but fair play to Christian Chnaski for being there and keeping the car on track. We hope nothing bad happens to him.
We've got an interesting statistic from Tilo so far. If Alexei Lamerto decides not to show up for the next two races, any driver can still win. Any driver signing up can still win, as there are 52 points. After this race is finished, there will be 52 points remaining.
Going to go on board with Christian Chnaski for his final lap of the race in just a moment. Ronnie Kronpusch still trying really hard coming through the last few corners of the circuit. Set a really good first split time. Second split, also pretty strong. Not giving up.
Yeah. Whoa! He spinned it.
Christian Szynoczki is off. This was the stroke of luck that Ronnie wanted. Terrible luck for Christian Szynoczki. He's back on track, but the tires and the suspension are in terrible shape. Ronnie Kronquist still pretty far behind, but Szynoczki, car will be compromised, tires will be dirty.
Ronnie is a long way back, but if Szynoczki has another issue, we could have a shocker of a final lap here. Those tires are incredibly thin. They'll probably make it to the end, but if he has another spin, then there's a high chance they won't be.
Ronnie Kronquist just getting around Zanella, getting through the back markers. Zanella dutifully getting out of the way in kind of an awkward position. Ronnie Kronquist still not giving up, 13 seconds behind Christian Szynoczki. He's cut that gap in half since the beginning of this lap, as Zanella clouts the tires behind him. Christian Szynoczki just misses the dirt there. That could have been a terrible spin. He doesn't need to drive this hard, but he's doing it anyway.
He does not need to be pushing this hard. Those tires are barely a pixel wide. Thick. If these tires pop, it'll be here. Yeah, it looks to me like Szynoczki's gonna make it to the end. Perfectly timed strategy from Szynoczki.
All right, here comes Christian Szynoczki through the final chicane to cross the line.
As his suspension dies on the final corner with paper-thin tires. I mean, say what you want about the events of that race, but that was perfectly done by Szynoczki.
Ronnie Kronquist comes through to finish P2. I think he'll be a little bit upset. We'll try to find him and Christian Szynoczki for interviews after the race. That remains to be seen.
Yeah, Ronnie may not have taken the victory, but he's taken the hearts of the fans with a commanding win of Driver of the Day.
Yeah, he has, and he is clearly displeased in chat.
He takes 50% of the vote with 9 of the 18 votes, which is very well done to him.
Sean Lee through in third, number 4th, 1 lap behind. Again, Number had set just 1 timed lap in order to make the grid, and then, set 1 timed lap to make the grid in order to fill it out. Manages a P4, well done to him. Lucas Finko across the line, 2 laps behind in 5th position, and the sole remaining car on track, Zanella Haraloco, in 6th position, 5 laps back. A disastrous race for him.
Wow, Szynoczki, we're just hearing in our ears that Szynoczki gets a 10-second time penalty. Luckily for him, that won't cost him the race win, but that leaves it with 2 seconds in it. That's mental stuff.
Well, I think the story of this race is Ronnie Kronquist doing everything he had to do, driving smoothly, consistently, staying out of trouble, preserving the car, and the race, certainly his opinion will be that the race was taken away from him. Driver of the day, despite the circumstances, so well done to him. But we do have the provisional standings, with Alexis Lamerto still in the lead of the Drivers' Championship with 51 points, not scoring any today by virtue of not having participated, taking this round off. Christian Szynoczki takes a haul of 25 points to find himself with 49, just 2 points clear of Alexis Lamerto in 2nd place. Sean Lee had it all to do, went wrong, managed to recover with a 3rd place finish in this race to take 3rd place, to fall to 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship, 43 points, 8 points adrift of Alexis Lamerto. Ronnie Kronquist with a spirited drive, deserved the win, but didn't get it today. 4th place in the standings with 30. And then from 5th down, we have Randamuru, Emre Khan, Zdravka Tepanyak, Ayub El-Nouni. Lucas Finko, who participated today, takes a few points, is now P9 of the championship, and Wojciech Muka rounding out at the top 10. Ronnie, though, we can sense his frustration, has taken up his position for the podium photo at the finish line, waiting for Christian Sanotsky and Sean Lee to come around. We will take just a moment and be right back. All right, we have the three podium finishers at the line. Christian Sanotsky, the winner, in the middle in the black number 77 car. Ronnie Kronpush with a spirited drive and driver of the day take up second position. The standings will ultimately reflect that he finishes 2.9 seconds adrift of Christian Sanotsky after Christian Sanotsky will take a 10-second time penalty. And then in third position, on Christian Sanotsky's right side, Sean Lee had a difficult day, but manages to preserve a third place and take important points in the championship. Adam, that was a lot. That was exciting. We predicted excitement. We got excitement. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that race had pretty much everything. There was a couple good battles in there. There was some crazy safety car stuff. There was lots of crashing, as we predicted. A lot of attrition going on. Some awesome stuff. Some great strategy plays too. The stars of the race for me are Ronnie and Number, because Ronnie played the strategy perfectly and got unlucky. Number jumping in the car at the last minute and setting some respectable lap times by the end of that race. And also, big credit to Sanotsky. He definitely had the pace for the win, and he made a few small mistakes, and his strategy may have been borderline, but it ended up working well for him, and just failing as the car goes over the line. A bit of a Lotus strategy there. Car just lasting long enough to finish the race and no longer.
Yeah, and we should also share a kind word for Rando. He was in command of this race, well ahead of everyone else before it went wrong. His internet gave up on him. He disconnected after a timeout, rejoined, and gave it his best to try to preserve some point, and then disconnected again. Well done to him. It didn't turn out the way he would have liked or he deserved, but he did put on a great show. Had a commanding race while it was going for him. We do have an interview lined up. I believe we have Lucas Finko to talk to. Lucas, that was a race. A lot happening there. How did it go for you? Still working on Lucas's audio. Give us a moment there. Still working on Lucas Finko's audio. We'll come back to him in just a moment. We'll have one more look at the championship standings while we're waiting on Lucas. One more time, we have Alexei Lemerto still at the top of the Drivers' Championship on 51 points. Christian Sanotsky makes up a big gap on the back of Alexei Lemerto's absence, now 49 points, 2 points adrift. Sean Lee does a good recovery drive in order to finish with 43 points, and Ronnie Kronpush, after a spirited drive, driver of the day, now has 30. We'll check in with Lucas Finko again. Lucas, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you now. Thank you. So the question I had asked a moment ago was, that was exciting for us to watch. How was it for you?
Oh, it was a totally crazy race. Such a hard track. Holy cow. I feel like I had a heart attack in that race so many times. It's so slippery out there. It's so hard to get around. I mean, every corner you could crash, pretty much. So the guys who finished, they're all pretty much heroes in my opinion, because it's just crazy out there.
Yeah, it looked like so some of the drivers out there awfully quick. Rando, notably, it went wrong for him. Really bad luck to be disconnected.
Yeah.
Those guys, I think, were fair play to you. I think they were a fair bit quicker than you are. How stressful is it, driving through the conditions you described and then having the leaders come through with a huge head of steam, especially on a track as tricky as this one?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Most of them I just gave them a lot of room because I knew I wasn't competitive on speed, and I just wanted to, run out the laps. And you can see like me and Zanella were pretty much running really close most of the race. So I think we had like the same strategy. We had very similar setups. So no, I just had a different strategy. So I tried not to have the blue flags be a big issue and get out of the way.
Well, fair play to you for finishing the race. We have 6 finished, 11 started. A lot of attrition, like we talked about at the top. So, well done. Good points.
Yeah.
You should be pretty happy with that. Your next race, will you be participating? And how do you expect to do at Kyoto National?
Oh, I expect to do okay. I should be mid-pack again, like I was last race. I know the track really well. I've done it in this car before, so that's good. So I should be mid-pack and strong. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I should be there.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing you. Thanks again for your time. Thanks for joining us. We also have Number in with us. Number, welcome back. We talked to you for a while yesterday. You had lots of great insights on the smaller open wheel car, and today you had a big job and you delivered. Tell us about it.
Well, I wasn't planning on racing today, but I saw that server isn't really full, so why not make up the numbers with my number? I didn't have any practice. On the first lap in quali I did my PB, so then in the race I did like 10 more PBs. It didn't even go so bad. But after the safety car, I realized I'm not gonna catch Noah because he was as quick as I was. I mean, that's bad news for him because I didn't train, but so tried to get a fastest lap. So I pushed, I think, a bit too hard, went off like 2-3 times. Was thinking that I have a lap enough to repair and try on the last lap, but then I got passed by Sanoke and realized it's not good for me to pit. I could just cross the finish line and end the race. But yeah, we
noted during the race that you ran a carefully controlled and responsible race. Started in the middle or a little further back, if I recall correctly, and then drove up to 5th position, and then traded 4th and 5th a few times, then finished 4th. So you should be pretty happy with that, having only driven 1 lap in order to set a qualifying lap, and then made it around in 4th place. Those are good points on basically no practice. So we're impressed. You have to be pleased.
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry. How well do you think you would have done if you had done some practice before the race? Because you were setting some very respectable times by the end of that.
I'm a bit pissed because I was 1.5 tenths of the fastest lap, and a few times I had like 3-4 tenths faster lap, but I guess I pushed a bit too hard to get it. I don't know. You can't think about what would happen if you trained. Maybe other guys would train too. Maybe also would be running. You never know. Maybe for the Kyoto and Aston. For Aston, surely I think I will train a bit. Maybe we will see then. I'm not really used to this F1 car, but yeah, it doesn't look that hard to drive for me. I don't know why others are having such problems. It's like Fox, just a bit faster.
I'm curious about your thoughts. I think there's a bit of frustration in the chat post race with that virtual safety car and then the safety car. I noticed that you were the only one taking a rather friendly and positive tone. Wondering if you could give us your take on what happened there.
Well, first of all, organizing a race isn't as easy as some would think. You gotta make a choice. You gotta make a decision. What will you do? And well, when they called the safety car, I think there was a car crawling to the pits. I think that rescue car was pushing him, and yeah, I mean that's a good decision to call safety car in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure Ronnie will be pissed because he thinks he lost the race because of it. To be fair, he pitted during the safety car. It's not a given he would have won. Yeah, I mean, every time you lose by a decision like that, you will be a bit pissed, I guess. But they're all races. They all raced a lot of races, and I think they will realize that, yeah, sometimes race control has to make a decision, and sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't.
Fair point there. We really appreciated your insight yesterday when you joined us for the Fox event, and I think that's really helpful insight here. That's a really useful and a really useful perspective. So thanks for sharing that. Adam, do you have any final thoughts, questions for Number?
Yeah, I was thinking, with the lack of practice that you had, what were you doing for a setup? How did you work out the strategy? Was it just kind of wait for everything to run out and just replace it when it needed replacing, or was it more calculated than that?
Well, I had one setup on my PC that said FE4 race, so I put on that. I saw it had 1630 wings, and I don't like that balance, so I put 1529. That's what I raced on KY3 and West Hill 2. That's basically it. I just made 2 laps in quali just to see how the setup is going. Spun on the out lap, but yeah, by the lap 3 or 4, you already know where you where you have the grip and where you don't have it, and then just going forward it was just easier everywhere because you have less fuel. First thing a bit surprised me because we had 2 or 3 virtual safety cars, and it looked to me like R2s are really not heating up as much as I thought they will. So I changed the tires on a pit stop because I thought that if they're not hitting that much, they will cool off. But I kind of forgot that virtual safety car really did help the temperatures a lot. So in second stint, I had mega problems with tire heat up because there were no virtual safety cars. I was very happy when the virtual safety car came out.
Well, thank you again for your thoughts. Oh, sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, everyone who's played LFS can relate to finding a random setup and in your files and just going with a flow. So yeah, well done on that. Some great management of the strategy there.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done to you, and thank you again for your thoughts. It has been a pleasure having you in the commentary box yesterday and then joining us again for an interview today. We really appreciate your thoughts and insight and your experience. So, well done to you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have fun.
Yep. And with that, we will look ahead. This concludes the 3rd round of the MRC BF1 series. Again, Christian Snotsky with the win in P1. Ronnie Kronpush, the driver of the day, finishes P2, and Sean Lee rounding out the podium in the 3rd. The next round of the MRC BF1 series, this will be round 4 from the Kyoto National Circuit, the 2nd Grand Prix of Japan. We've already been to the Kyoto GP circuit. That coming to you on January 10th, 2021, our first event of the new year. That'll be at 1400 hours UTC for the start of qualifying. Same schedule as the prior events. And then following round 4 of the MRC BF1 series, we will have round 1 of New Dimension Racing's G22 Challenge. Again, January 10th, 2021, 1800 hours UTC. That will be here on the Sim broadcast, just an hour or so following the MRC BF1 League. Adam, final thoughts on today's event?
Yeah, very hectic, and a bit of a shame about the lack of participation. Only 11 drivers started that race, but for what it was, that was some exciting stuff. It certainly kept us on our toes.
It did indeed. Well, that concludes our broadcast. We want to thank all of the viewers for tuning in. We enjoy putting on this show for you, and we hope you enjoy watching it. Had a lot of good racing today, fair bit of excitement, some confusion, but gave us a lot of great entertainment. Thank you to the MRC team, Ricky, Gemini, Tim, and Michael, for putting on this event. I think it was a bit frustrating for a few people today, but we thank them again for doing a great job. Thank Number for joining us in the box and giving us his great insight. I also want to thank Adam Brown, my partner on commentary, Peter Butcher for production, Jonathan Palmer for production, Tilo Falkenberg does our excellent stream graphics, Chris McElroy, our fantastic cameras, and Dan Bala Mandula on social media. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Travis Mehlinger. This has been the MRC BF1 League Round 3 from Fern Bay Black on Sim Broadcast. We hope you all have a great new year. We hope you are happy and healthy wherever you are. Thanks again for watching, and goodbye.